Welcome to Checking In Live, the Hospitality and Tourism podcast. I'm Jeremy Nichols with Gecko Hospitality. I'm Florida's hospitality headhunter, and I'm very privileged to be co-hosting with my good friend, Dr. Peter Ricci.
Hey all, I'm Dr. Peter Ricci with Florida Atlantic University, and Jeremy and I are excited, and I don't know, this is just going to be fun. I love hospitality, as you know, so we're going to have some fun people on here, and I love your groovy lounge music with the
Thank
intro.
you.
Very nice. Very nice.
Appreciate it. I would like to take credit for it, but it was not me who made those beats. But funny story. Well, you know this. It took me some wrangling to get you to do this with me, right?
I'm here. Actually, this is AI. So
it is. It's a fake Peter Ricci,
yes.
But I'm happy and excited to do that. We're Peter and I have been talking for a while. We do talk about hospitality offline, and we felt it would be fun to have a show more raw, unfiltered, talking about leadership, culture, and the future of hospitality. There are plenty of hospitality podcasts that are fantastic, but Peter and I felt there was a voice in the HR, the future of hospitality world that we'd like to focus on. So here we are.
Yeah, and I agree. And, I always attribute it back to my study at University of Florida. It was recreation, parks, and tourism, and it approached the world very broadly. So I told Jeremy, we want people from every corner of the tourism and hospitality industry. So, tour operators, wholesalers, if you own an adventure travel company, just reach out to us, because I get a little not bored or tired, because hospitality is my thing, but I want to hear more than just hotels and restaurants all the time. Although there are main things, I just want to have a little bit of peace in there with other stuff. And you'll see our guest today, he combines many things into one area.
Yeah, I'm excited to have David on as well. And I don't know if you want to read the intro or you want to kind of wing it, but I know
Sure.
you have a lot to say about Mr. David Kahn.
Yeah, there's just so much to say about him. He's an industry icon, and thanks or no thanks to the pandemic, I was able to connect with him and become friends, and I so admired him. So David is founder and principal of a group now called DEI Advisors, but you probably know him outside of his nonprofit organization, DEI. He was the president and CEO of Best Western Hotels, BWH Hotels, for almost 18 years or just over 18 years. So he's often thought of as the longest serving CEO in hotel space. And for me, I was very proud to get to know him, because Best Western was the first hotel I ever became a general manager of. Under his leadership, Best Western excelled beyond my comprehension. They added all kinds of sub-brands. Even before Best Western, though, he was a leader. He had positions with KPMG. I'm not a math guy, so I'm very admirable that he is in consulting and hospitality finance and numbers. He worked at Hyatt, Omni, and Hilton. And just some of his accolades: he won Lifetime Achievement Awards from ALIS, Business Travel News, International Hotel Investment Forum, and HSMAI. And he was the inaugural recipient of the very prestigious Arne Sorensen Social Impact Award just recently in 22. He's won awards all around, GBTA. He was been chairman of the American Hotel Lodging Association. And another very prestigious feather to me is he was appointed to the U.S. Department of Commerce Travel and Tourism Advisory Board, where he fulfilled his 3-year term. So David's an industry icon. Our first guest, I'm super excited. And that's David.
Can we bring David to the screen? Oh, there we are. Hi, David.
There he is.
Oh, hi. Hello, everyone. And
Hello.
Thank you for those wonderful words, Peter.
Oh, you earn it, my friend. You earn it. So, so we have a few questions for you. I hope some people in the audience, if they're watching, will ask you as well.
That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, if you're watching live on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, if you comment in the comment section, we will bring your questions to David and see if he wants to answer them or not. But pretty sure he would. Pretty sure he will. I don't know, David. before we get started, I have a question I want Peter to ask, but I just want you to kind of briefly describe your career path in hospitality. I know Peter did a fantastic job, but if there's anything he left out.
Oh, okay. Well, sure. I'll be very brief. I'm an immigrant from Hong Kong. I came when I was 18 years old to attend the University of Hawaii. And when I arrived, I really had nothing. I had no money, no connections, and no way back. My parents were of modest means, so they sent me on a one-way ticket. I was on my own. So after paying tuition and rent, I had no money left, and I had to go get a job. And I started as a busboy, dishwasher at the Hilton Hawaiian Village. And the maitre took a liking to me and made me a waiter, and I started my hotel career from there.
As a
And
busboy.
I was very fortunate. I had some opportunities open up for me. I finally moved to the mainland, meaning moved away from Hawaii to the U.S. mainland. And long story short, I was working at a hotel as a food and beverage director, and my general manager told me that day, "Hey, David, I got good news for you. We like your work, and we want to promote you to be a resident manager at our hotel in San Mateo." I said, "Wonderful." And my wife came home that day. She was working at Hyatt, and she said, "David, I have great news." And I said, "What's that?" She said, "Well, the assistant food and beverage director at the Hyatt Regency Dallas had just left, and my boss wanted to interview you for that role." I said, "Really?" So I was right away in a dilemma, and decided to go join Hyatt, took 2 steps down, and took a tremendous pay cut, a 30% pay cut, gave him my bonus that year to go work for Hyatt. And that started my 19-year career at Hyatt. And,
Wow.
Just to fast forward, I was general manager for several properties. And then one day I was sitting there, and the president of a company called, and he said, "David, hey, we're starting a new position that's called business process reengineering. We'd like you to come in and head up that effort." I said, "What is that?" and the president said, "I don't know either, but we'll figure it out." So I went to the corporate office. Business process engineering is really just a short term for helping a company become more profitable, improving the business processes. And from there, lots of opportunities opened up. I was asked to lead the database management of Hyatt. I built up the whole capabilities of database marketing for Hyatt at that time. I was asked to be involved with a website. I saw launch of firsthyatt.com. I was asked to be involved with the Salesforce automation systems. I got involved in not just that, but PMS, the first generation revenue management system, and so on and so forth. So I was fortunate to amass tremendous skills at that time in a very short time. And then I was starting to get bored, and I was asking my boss, "What's my career like for Hyatt?" And he said, "Do you really want to go back and manage a hotel?" I said, "Really, I don't want to go back and manage a hotel." And so I decided to try consulting. So I interviewed with 2 consulting companies, and they both wanted to hire me on the spot. I didn't realize that all the skills I had amassed had become so important in landing me a consulting job, because at that time, who doesn't want to be hiring a consultant to take costs out, build up their database marketing capabilities, loyalty program, CRM, and so on and so forth. So I was hot commodity. I had no idea that all those skills were so important. But long story short, I did 2 engagements with Best Western, and the CEO of the company liked me very much. He said, "Well, why don't you come and work for us?" And that launched my Best Western career.
Well,
Wow.
your experience definitely leads to the first question I'd like to have Peter ask. If Jessica, you can bring that to the screen.
Sure. I mean, you're often cited as the longest serving CEO, and I think you'll hold that record for a long time. I mean, what are the 2 main ingredients that, when you reached that level, kept you with Best Western for such a long time?
I think the first one is the saying, "Be the change you want to see in this world." I believe in that. If I see anything that could be improved upon, I'm going to improve it. And so I think that drive to always be curious and ask why not is one of the 2 ingredients. The other one is what I always say, it's not enough to have a vision of what the future could hold. You've got to have the strength and resilience to pursue it. Because if you want to pursue what's hard and what's impossible, you got to encounter a lot of naysayers. People are going to say, no, we've done that before, it never works, or that will never work. We are not that kind of company, and so on and so forth. So you've got to have a lot of patience to indulge people, to give you their feedback. You have to be strong and have good listening skills, because it's not easy to convince people. If you don't hear what they have to say and you can't paraphrase it back to them, they're not going to be open to listening to you. So I think those listening skills and the ability to articulate a point succinctly, having been a consultant, that helped a lot. So I think the strength and resilience to pursue the seemingly impossible, despite the naysayers, is probably the second ingredient.
Wow, very impressive. And I have to always think, like, when I hear people speak of your caliber, how much I want to showcase hospitality to people behind me in life, just starting their careers. Because you just listen to your story. It was some numbers, it was marketing, it was website, it was operations, it was food. I mean, where else are you going to work at a fantastic business like this that just has every possible, I call them playgrounds. You just make your stop along the way in different playgrounds. So, thank you for that.
And opportunities as well. Like, what other industry do you know of that has so many opportunities, from culinary to operations, and then all the positions within, and someone could just come in as a, I don't know, night auditor, and then eventually be a director of finance.
Sure.
Like the
Absolutely.
trajectory for careers is huge in hospitality. So that's definitely something that I'm proud of. I see it a lot as a recruiter. But going back to your career, I know right now you are running DEI advisors, and before I ask my question, can you just tell me what DEI advisors is, so the audience knows?
Yeah, DEI advisors started out as a result of me having been on CEO panels for almost more than 18 years at different industry trade shows. And when I was on these panels, it would always struck me as odd that everybody else is a white man, and I'll be the only minority representation. I stick out like a sore thumb. And I will always ask, why aren't there more women on this panel? Why aren't there more people of color on this panel? Why isn't there more diversity on these panels? And so when I was retiring, I began to think, what am I going to do in retirement? Industry has been really good to me. I want to find a way to give back. And I thought the most meaningful way to give back is to create more diversity in leadership in the hospitality industry, because they represent our future. And so I founded the Advisors as a way to give back to the industry. Mm-hmm. And our goal was to collect the personal stories of inspiring leaders, whether they are white or regardless of background, okay? And because everyone has a great story, if they make it to be CEO or in a C-suite, or they own a hotel company, they've done something right, and it's not without hardship. So we want to learn from their stories, and these stories would empower people who want to become the future leaders. And so we found a way to collect the stories, and I found a way to disseminate the stories, and developing training materials so we can help people advance their career.
Across the country, we're seeing explicit rollbacks in DEI programs, both in government, corporate settings. Is this making it increasingly difficult not only to discuss DEI, but also implement it?
It is making it more difficult, but we have to understand the evolution of DEI.
Just when I'm asking a great question, Peter, it froze a little bit. I don't know if we're still rolling live.
No, we are. It's good.
See here.
It's good. We're good.
So the evolution of DEI, if you think about our industry, it's very diverse. I think our industry is one of the most diverse industries. Not only do we appeal to a diverse audience, we also have a diverse workforce. And if you think about that diverse workforce, in the context of a triangle. On the bottom rung, we're overrepresented with diversity. But as you move up this triangle, you see that there's less and less diversity. When you're at the very top, there's almost no diversity. And so when you think about DEI, how it came about, it was because in most industries, that is the case. And people that are deserving of opportunities, people that are deserving of promotions and recognition, they aren't able to get there. And that's obviously not right. And there's a tremendous resentment. So when it was during COVID and you see the unfortunate incidents of George Floyd and others, a lot of CEOs all of a sudden woke up and said that we have to change that. We have to implement DEI. And that's how the DEI program gained tremendous momentum. And companies began having diversity councils. They set goals to have X number of women promoted or X percentage of people of minority representation on different executive positions and so on and so forth. And during that whole process, however, they created some inequity because undeserving people were given the opportunity to move up while deserving people were kept behind. And that caused resentment. And so when the Supreme Court came down with a decision for Harvard, and I think it was University of North Carolina, to stop discrimination based on race, all of a sudden it gave momentum to the anti-DEI movement. And then when the new administration come on, then it was all like taboo, don't talk about DEI anymore.
You're right.
Often to see is that the major hotel companies aren't really doing away with DEI initiatives. They just call it a different name.
Sure. I think that I agree with you wholeheartedly there, David. I want to jump in because, in our teaching programs, we've moved steadily the past couple of decades to heavy female enrollments in hospitality educational programs. I think our program's about 70-30 female to male. And I think the bad rap and the rush and the backlash will subside with time, because what I think about in my life is I managed many hotels in my career, and I remember vividly one of them representing 52 countries in one building. It was unheard of. Most of them were 10 to 20 countries in one building. It's just a part of our nature. We're diverse staff, but we're also serving the world of visitors. So it's just a natural ingredient in hospitality, which is why I think we see it a little differently. And, you had mentioned getting people's stories. Is that what led you to start your own podcast called It's Personal Stories? Is that where you get the story?
That's precisely why. But to follow up on your point, Peter, I don't think DEI is ever going to go away. No. Because if you open up any business books, they would talk about the value of having people of different background and different experiences on your team, because that diversity drives innovation. That's diversity. And it talks about respecting people, making sure they are included in decisions and that they are seen and heard. And so that's inclusion. They would talk about treating everyone fairly. That's equity, right? So these are right things to do.
You peel back the layers of the acronym, and it's like, what is wrong with those three words? And it became, like you said, something that is now unfortunately taboo. We don't want to go into the reasons why, but we pretty much know some of them. However, there are a lot of myths out there. And I want to know, in your opinion, what's the biggest DEI myth clinging? Like, what is the biggest myth that is causing backlash?
I think when I talked about resentment earlier, that is the biggest myth. People hate DEI because they relate that to undeserving people getting that promotion, undeserving people getting that raise, undeserving people getting that recognition where deserving people were passed by. That resentment is what's fueling the anti-DEI movement. Okay. And the other thing that I noticed about DEI is people have diversity, but they don't have inclusion. So when we are thinking about these programs, we have to think about, we don't have to call it DEI, But it's important that we have different looking people of different background around the table. But it's even more important to include them in the decisions, because if you just have them at the table, but they're not empowered to speak because their voice is never heard or recognized, then it's all for naught. So I think a lot of people fail at these programs because they just go through the motion, but it's really not respecting the three things that are important in a business book.
That's a great point. I like that. Like the inclusion part, specifically what you just said. A lot of people have diversity, but they're not having the inclusion. Actually, you have a comment I want to bring up. There's someone listening, Lainey. Lainey says, David, it's really inspiring to hear you mention this and what DEI means to you. I feel that this industry is very female driven, and I love hearing from so many diverse perspectives. It's important that the industry professionals continue to keep DEI at the forefront of our organizations. With this, I believe customers, guests in our industry will feel more comfortable investing their time, money into our products and services. That's Lainey. Thank you for contributing.
Well said.
Thank you, Lainey. And this is our first podcast and our first guest. So at the risk of not becoming a fully DEI show or otherwise, we also want to ask David some hotel questions.
We do.
But I'm just fascinated by how your career and coming to the U.S. as an immigrant inspired you later in life to think of diversity, equity, and inclusiveness. I don't like the acronym DEI because it has a lightning rod right now, but I love what it contains. Let's put it that way, And here as a faculty member, we always talk about equity. I mean, that's part of the common vernacular in a university campus is equity, making sure that we're doing things that are fair. So it's nice to hear from someone in the audience. You put it, Lainey, so eloquently. That's fantastic,
Well, I do have a hospitality question for you I'd like to bring up. More about the U.S. is projected to lose about $12.5 billion in inbound tourism this year. So from your perspective, what's driving that decline, and what can our industry realistically do to turn it around?
Yeah, this is a shame because the administration is talking about a trade deficit. Well, guess what? Inbound tourism is a surplus to our trade deficit. So it's a shame. But, I think everyone understands why this is happening. The rhetoric as well as the tariffs actions that the administration is taking is putting a damper on people's sentiments towards the United States and traveling here. My sister-in-law was going to visit me in Chicago. And she said her friend told her not to come. Why? Because they heard stories that ICE is rounding up people and, throwing them in jail before deporting them. So she's scared to come. I think that has
you said that was your sister or sister-in-law?
Yeah, my sister-in-law.
Okay.
So
where does she live?
I'm just thinking, oh my God, if that's how people feel about coming to the United States, we're doomed. That's
Is she in Hawaii?
No, she's in Canada.
Oh, okay. I have plenty of. I actually have a lot of Canadian relatives. So.
Well, you probably hear stories.
I have.
That sort.
And I also think a part of this, David, tell me if you agree with this, is that we opened during COVID a little faster than a lot of other places. And I think there's just USA fatigue and burnout. So I think altogether it might be bigger than the rhetoric as well, but that's a part of it. But I know in Florida, we opened super early, and there definitely was burnout on visiting Florida because you already came twice,
You might be right in that, Peter, but you look at Italy as a country, all the destinations. Rome is overflowing with tourists. Venice is overflowing with tourists. They don't want anymore. So that might be true to a certain extent, but not the main reason. I think the action and rhetoric, the tariffs, turning people off. And also, I think the strength of the dollar is also another reason. It's far more expensive for Canadians, in particular, to come to the United States. I remember I've been going to Canada for many, many years. At some point, it was par, and then it was maybe $1 US to $1.20 Canadian. but now it's $1.40 something. I mean, imagine making a trip out here.
Yeah.
But in terms of what the industry can do, very little that the industry can do. However, I do want to take this opportunity to caution the industry. We have a need to raise our average rate. I mean, that goes without saying because cost is going up like crazy, and we lost a lot of money during COVID. We have to make up for some of that, and everything is so expensive nowadays. We have to raise the average rate. But at the same time, we cannot be cutting back on things. When you're raising the rate and all of a sudden you reduce the number of toiletries that you have, or you reduce the quality of the food, or what's offered on a buffet, and when you're still charging outrageous prices, people are going to see that as lack of value.
100%.
And over some time, they're going to be turned off. And over some time, they're going to think, well, I should go get an apartment through Airbnb. It's better off. I'm better off that way than staying in a hotel. And so it's a real danger for our industry to be short-sighted, because right now is not the time to necessarily lower the rate. I understand that. And even we might have to increase it because of necessity, but it's not the time to cut back on what you offer as value.
Wow.
Absolutely. You're right. Even like sometimes even the quality of things as simple as shampoo and conditioner, or just the little amenities you get in the bathroom, people notice that, especially if you frequent hotels like we do. You notice it's the little things, right? If you're going to charge me more money, just don't take anything away. It's not really a hard thing to ask, right?
Nope.
It would seem like, yeah.
Talking about leadership, I want to ask a couple questions. Just in your opinion, what patterns do you see among executives who actually break through versus the ones who plateau mid-career?
I think to answer that question, we have to understand the stages that they are in. I think there are 3 stages that everyone would go through before they get to the very top. The first stage is what I call the individual contributor stage. This is the stage where you want to demonstrate that you're hardworking, dedicated individual, that you're responsible and all that stuff. But you also want to be the go-to person. So if the company needs help with anything, you are the go-to person. They always come to you because you can get it done. And to be able to do that, you have to branch out and be the masters of many things. You have to be good at many things. And this is why I refer back to my example that all of a sudden I have knowledge in systems, I have knowledge of website, I have knowledge of CRM and database. That made me far more marketable, right? So when you are in the individual contributor stage, you have to think about branching out, gaining as much knowledge as you can, move laterally, and then you can be considered for the next level, which is becoming a leader of people. And to be good at that, obviously, all the things that you know, being empathetic and being a servant leader, caring for the people more than you care for them. Maybe you care for yourself. But to make yourself successful at that stage, you have to learn the skills of not only working with people, but also collaborating. And being able to discern problems before they actually occur, being a champion for people when they are successful in doing things. So in general, all the things that are needed to be a good servant leader. And some people fail at that because they don't have the empathy in their heart. They care more about themselves, or they are not secure enough to hire better people around the table than them. Like if I was at that stage, I want to hire the individual contributor stage. You want to be the smartest person in that room. However, you become a people leader, you want people to be smarter than you. You want all the people that work for you to be smarter than you, because they can lift you up. And a lot of people don't recognize that. And they want to be the master of that room. So that's when they fail, because they have nobody to prop them up. They can't move to the next stage.
Wow.
The third stage is when you are the visionary leader.
One thing
when you can envision the future, and you can actually make the future happen. And to be able to do that, you have to be naturally curious. You have to ask questions all the time. You have to have a thirst for knowledge, and you have to be in tune of the environment, and you have to ask why not. And you have to have, like I said earlier, the strength and resilience to handle all the naysayers. That's not easy, by the way. A lot of people would just give up and say it's too hard, right?
Right.
So anyway, those are the different requirements for the different stages.
I think Jeremy and I, the HR guys, are just wanting to
oh my God,
because we just love what you said. You know, one of the things that frustrated me the most, David, along my career, when I got to be a regional and I had general managers who never wanted to promote out of the building. They were always afraid of leaving the HR director because he was the best they ever had, or the director of housekeeping because she was the best they ever had to get into the green zone. They would never let their best people go. And I'm the completely opposite thinker. It's time for you to go if you want to go. If you're happy here, you got your work-life quality the way you want it, you take your kids to school on time, you let me know when you're ready because you're outstanding. But I get frustrated when everybody wants to hold back the smart people, you know? So I can tell your passion is like having smart people around you, but letting them thrive when they're ready to grow, you know?
I was going to say something simple as a recruiter who, you know, speaks to leaders all day. It's so simple, but a lot of them don't even know what they want to do. When they get to that point where there's a decision to be made in management, a lot of times I'll hear, well, you know, it could be director of operations, or maybe a director of housekeeping, and like there shouldn't be because that's the last thing leadership wants to hear. Like, we want to know, what do you want to do specifically?
How do you teach that, Jeremy?
You know, I was that guy once. I'll tell you. I swear to you, I was too long ago, like 20 something years ago. But I remember the manager, her name was Manar Kabaz. It was in New York City. And I remember when I see all these people getting promoted around me, and I just wanted to be promoted. I mean, that's just what I wanted. So I remember going in her office and saying, Manar, I see this person getting promoted, and I know that I'm a hard worker. I wanted to get a promotion. I can't remember, I'm paraphrasing here, but she was like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, either, at the time I was in retail. So I was like, visuals or management. She's like, well, which one? And I'm like, oh, which one do you think I should be? She's like, how about this? How about you figure it out and you come back to me? And by the way, Manar was awesome. I mean, like, she was great and she was dead serious. So she told me, so I was like, oh, damn, that's pretty blunt. So I did. I thought about it. And after like a week, I went back to Manar and knocked on her door. Manar, I know what I want to do. I want to go into management. She's like, okay, well, let's get an action plan and figure out how to get you there. You know, and then we went from there. But.
Nice. Go Manar.
Yeah, thanks, Manar. if you're watching, Manar Kabaz. So someone of your stature, David, a lot of honors, awards. I know Peter said a lot of them in the beginning, but which major industry honor actually meant something personal to you the most, the biggest? Yeah,
all of them are meaningful because, you know, you think about Atlas, American Lodging Investment Summit, or IHIF, International Investment Forum, HSMAI or GBTA. These are all very, very prominent, prestigious organizations or trade shows. And to get the Lifetime Achievement Award from them is really very gratifying and humbling. But the award that meant the most to me was the Arne Sorensen Social Impact Award, because that award was given to individuals that not only contributed to the industry, but did something to help other people. And I was recognized because at Best Western, I started a lot of programs. We had the first women's forum, not my idea, Dorothy Dowling's idea, but I full-heartedly supported that. And that was a major impact on, you know, how women felt about their careers in the industry and in our company. So that was very meaningful thing that we did at Best Western. We started the Future Leaders Group to cultivate tomorrow's leaders, and we promoted them to the corporate office or through their hotels, and we helped them with their career planning and training development and so on and so forth. So, and also because when I left, actually, I had 3 very viable internal candidates to replace me. And one of them actually became the CEO. So I was recognized for that too, for grooming our own internal individuals so they could have a career pathing and succession. So that award is particularly meaningful. And also, Arnie is such a great guy. I know him, and I've always had the greatest respect for him. You talk about an icon. He is truly an icon.
I have another comment for you, David. If you can bring it to the screen, Jess. LinkedIn user says, such great valid points. I've seen your advice in practice and can see the strong effectiveness of this. Thank you for the reminder and validation.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah.
Wow, very nice. I'll take. You want me to take the next question?
Yeah, I got you. Here we go. Fun one for you.
Oh, wow. And especially in my world, academia. With AI and automation reshaping roles, how can leaders make sure empathy doesn't become the casualty?
Yeah, if you think about AI automation versus a human being, what is the difference? The difference is humans can feel emotions. Humans can care about people. Humans have feelings. And these are things that AI and automation can never do. And we must never give up the ability to feel for other people. And if you think about what makes a hotel stay or an experience with an airline or cruise line truly memorable and special, it's a human connection. That emotional connection with another individual is something that you can never replace. I'll give you an example. In 1980s, I was general manager at a Hyatt, and I decided to try unconditional 100% satisfaction guarantee. So if someone was to complain they want their money back, I would give them the money back. And I told the team at that time, this is before Hampton or anybody else had that satisfaction guarantee. And I told the front desk people, that first impression that they have with the hotel is through you. And we know something wrong is going to happen, likely, because there's so many little things in the hotel that can go wrong. And invariably, someone is going to encounter some issue. But if they have a great, wonderful first impression, they are more willing to overlook that little mistake. So I said, your role is vitally important. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that that first encounter is right and sets a tone for the rest of the stay. So guess what? One day, this guest wrote me and he said, I just could not believe what happened. So he was relating a story. He was checking in. He said, I was not feeling well. The front desk clerk asked me. I said, I'm not. I think I'm coming down with a cold. I'm not feeling well. I've got an important meeting tomorrow. And you know what? The desk clerk took it upon herself to send up some chicken soup for him.
Oh.
He was absolutely floored. He said, I couldn't believe out of 20-some years I've been staying in hotels, that's never, ever happened. And I applaud you for whatever you did, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
That emotional connection, how can that ever be replaced by a machine? It's the feeling that humans have for other people. That's the empathy that we're talking about. If you have that, you'd be golden. You always be successful if you have that. And it's something that AI automation can never replace.
I'll make you feel really good and make you feel like you're 100% accurate, because you are. I was at the Boutique and Luxury Lodging Association meeting in Los Angeles about a couple of weeks ago, and I did a panel in the middle of the first day. But there were plenty of panels before me, and then a bunch the same day, and then the next day. And none of us spoke to each other. It was everybody. You know how it works. You do your panel, and you focus on your keynote. The constant word I heard every single panel was authenticity. And I was talking about recruiting. Food and beverage is talking about food and beverage. Operations talking about authenticity over there, concierge across the whole 2 days, and that made me excited because we've been a little nervous about, oh, is AI going to take our job? And you've seen the headlines, you read the news, but it made me feel like, at least in our industry, I feel like, hey, we're onto something here. Like authenticity is something that people need. They need the human touch. We don't want to walk into a stale room with a bunch of robots. I still go into restaurants. I don't even want to touch the kiosk. I walk past the kiosk and I go to a human still. And I feel like, am I weird? But I literally do it. I was at Portillo's like the other day. I'm like, walk past the kiosk, go right to the front, talk to somebody.
Well, the same thing happens at a hotel check-in. I mean, what big hotel you walk in, you don't see a number of kiosks on the side where you can check in yourself. But you never see a line at those kiosks. You see a line waiting at the front desk.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Why is that?
Very true.
It's because we thirst that human connection.
There's a lot of layers to it too. Yeah, it's the human connection, and then I'm like, I don't trust it. There's a piece of that. I don't trust the kiosk. It's too frustrating. I don't want to go through it. Like, it's not sanitary. I don't want to touch that touchscreen. But we are at the 40-minute mark, and I do have a few more questions that I'd like to ask you. So I want to know, in your opinion, what's the most valuable mentorship advice that you've received personally, and how did it change the way you lead?
Okay, I want to say I didn't really have a formal mentor, but that didn't stop me from observing other people, whether it's my bosses or my peers or or people that work for me. I felt like every encounter is an opportunity to learn. So I always look for opportunities to learn from other people. And what I picked up, obviously, the empathy thing that we talked about, and how you can be a visionary leader and so on and so forth. I mean, all those things most of the audience already know, but I'm going to bring up something that not a lot of people has talked about, and that is the calmness that you project. I remember when I first went to work at Best Western, I was really impressed with the CFO. He's a soft-spoken guy, very well respected in the company and in the industry. But every word out of him is deliberate, meaningful, and succinct. He doesn't speak very much, but when he speaks, you want to listen. And there's a whole aura of calmness around him. So when you go into this office, you look at him, you sit down, you just feel calm. And you have a meaningful conversation because you're calm and he's calm. And, for a long time, I was trying to figure out why there's an aura about him. And I have uncovered that calmness actually gives you an executive presence. And how many times have you hear people say, you have to project your executive presence, that aura of being confident. Well, what projects you at being confident? It's that calmness about you. It's how you speak with that calmness. So if there's one advice that I offer that I picked up that not many people talk about, is how do you project that calmness around you? And that starts with you being calm, being very patient, and wanting to hear what other people say before you open your mouth, and making sure that everything you say is succinct and deliberate and thoughtful, calm. So I want to offer that as an observation.
I mean, you're 100% correct. And want to bring up a point. I sent out a message, a DM, it was like to several leaders that I'm connected with on LinkedIn, asking, what's the most important thing for them right now in hospitality. And I didn't really know what to expect, but the trend, I'm telling you, if I get a metrics like 90%, retention constantly was brought up. And the calmness you're talking about, it comes from the top down. And I believe a lot of the retention could be fixed, and a turnover could be shortened if we weren't leading by fear. Like a lot of the old school mentality. You know, you hear about the chefs that throwing knives across the room, and you know the
I've
story.
experienced that.
Yeah, so we've been around there, but the newer generation ain't putting up with it. They're just not. And you know, there's I still hear, you know, a lot of things that Peter and I spoke about during COVID that we thought would change.
Right.
It didn't.
That's
And
the best advice I've had all day, because I tend to be towards the emotional, get it done now, extrovert, rah, rah, rah. And, you know, I just took what you said very close to heart, because it does set a completely different tone. And with the retention, all the combustive nature of our business, run, less, do more with less, do more with less. It's what's also chasing a lot of people away. So I think the calmness would also settle things down. I take that to heart. That's a really good piece of advice, David.
it's spot on. And I'm telling you, like people call headhunters when they're mad. So they don't call us when they're happy, you know.
Right.
So, you know, the things that we hear, I'm like, you know, I think I do know what I'm talking about a little bit, because your guy's calling me, telling me all about you and how you're running around screaming at the staff. Anyway, as we wrap up, I want to ask you one question about your legacy. And Peter mentioned it again in the beginning. You know, what an impact you've made on the industry in your tenure at Best Western. So what legacy are you most proud of leaving behind at Best Western?
Oh, there's so many things that I'm proud of, because together with our team, we achieved so much. And I think one thing that I'm particularly proud of is Best Western, when I started, was a monolithic one brand company. And when I left, it had 18 brands, and it straddled every chain scale segment, from economy all the way up to luxury, through us growing the brands organically and also acquiring World Hotels, which gave us the foothold in the upscale and luxury segments. So I left Best Western with lots of growth engines, and we have used all those brands to ramp up our presence around the world. So that one I'm particularly proud of. But the one that I'm most proud of is the people that I left behind. I think investment in our people is probably the most important legacy that we can leave behind, because we live through the future generation. And when I left, I said we have 3 internal candidates. All of them are doing extremely well. But below that, we have tremendous bench strength. We have strength in every department head and every division head. And that I'm really proud of. I don't think anything can go wrong with Best Western for years to come because of that bench strength. So that one I'm particularly proud of too.
Wow.
I bet you remember all their names too, right? The one, this, you know, right? Most of them.
Yeah,
you know, I still do too. Like from 20 years ago, I it's shockingly remember a lot of their names.
And I can attest that many of the leaders there, they all miss you too, David. So it goes both ways.
Yeah,
you know?
Feelings mutual.
Yeah, when you lead with empathy and you care and you do great things, you created a train, and they enjoyed the train ride. Let's say like that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I want to thank you for joining and making this first episode very fun and enlightening. I'm glad that we were able to touch on DEI advisors and your Best Western history. I'm not sure. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to leave? Any kind of links? Anything you want to share with the audience? Just please let us know.
Oh, okay. Nothing comes to mind at this time, but I appreciate being on your show and being your first guest. Peter, it's always fun to spend time with you.
Yeah, I wish we had more time. I agree.
Yeah, and Jeremy, it's great to meet you finally. And
great to meet you.
Thank you very much for inviting
me. I will put on our links before I send them to you, David. I will put where to find you, some of your links.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll put your LinkedIn connection on there as well. If you'd like.
I really appreciate you joining too, and I'm going to be calm for the remainder of the
day. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice. Bye.
All right. So Peter.
Wow. So we did it.
We did it. 50 minutes.
Any tech issues, and David is so inspiring. I just so so happy to see him. He is what you see, and he runs his businesses that way. It's no surprise to me that he's continued on doing great things. And you should also, anyone watching should check out his podcast, because he really gets his guests to just tell a personal story, and that's why he named it that way. So this is fun. Now I look forward to our monthly.
There you go. See, no flubs, and we made it through. No, actually, no. To be honest with you, it was a great convo. The issue that I had is I had too many questions I wanted to ask, and I had to try to figure out how to consolidate them.
Always.
And keep them under 40 minutes, but 50 minutes we're fine. Before we say goodbye, Peter, I guess I'll just say where people can find me, and then you can wrap it up and tell them where to find you. So I'm Jeremy Nichols with Gecko Hospitality, Florida's hospitality headhunter. You can find me on LinkedIn, and you can also find me on YouTube. I'm very active on there. It's really simple to find me. It's my name, Jeremy Nichols. Nothing crazy or nutty. And it's this picture of this guy with a beard is the picture. So that's where you can find me.
Yeah, for me, it's easy. FAU, Florida Atlantic University. You'll find me there. Just Google FAU Hospitality or on LinkedIn. And I guess we should tease our next guest for
Let's do it. Let
the
him
month
know.
of November. It's the infamous Glenn Hausman from No Vacancy News. And the reason I admire Glenn so much is he's a journalist by profession who, like many of the rest of us, stumbled upon hospitality. And now hospitality is his passion for probably 2 decades, at least a decade. And he's just a consummate, happy hospitality guy. And I'm sure many of you already know him from No Vacancy News. So,
well, that's where we met, actually, I believe. What's on No Vacancy? Like we were talking earlier. I'm not sure I don't think we were airing when we said that, but Peter and I met on podcast during COVID. And I think it was like 3 of them in a row. We kept on getting booked on. So it was meant to be, Peter. So here we are. But I want to say thank you for everybody that was watching. If you have any comments or questions, you can still put up in the comment section on the replay. This will live on Apple, Spotify podcast. We'll also have it on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. So until next time, thank you for joining us.
Bye.